The majority of the market movement happens in a small window, and the people that are rewarded are the people that were here and that stayed, that were here in the at the bottom of this giant wave for here. The people that were here at the bottom, that didn't give up, that stuck in it, that kept believing it, that had the conviction, that bought more, that DCA'd more, that stayed with it. Those people are the ones that will be rewarded in that small window if they're there and if they have the balls to hit the sell button. What is up, guys? Norris Digital Assets coming at you with another video. In this video, we're going to talk about my altcoin predictions, my old YouTube videos, and it's going to be an update for anybody that thinks, Norris Digital Assets was wrong. His price predictions are way off. They're too high. They're not going to happen, etc., etc. So I'm going to cover all that in this video and why that's actually not true. So I'm just going to dive into the chart real quick. So, for example, we'll use CKB as an example of an altcoin and where it might go in the future in the bull run. So all these targets are basically based off the fib. A lot of it, the 1618. It's just 161.8% of the retracement of the initial move down. So let me get my brush here. So basically what you're talking about is these highs up here and these lows here. And you're talking about when price action eventually goes back to the upside, you go past your highs and you go up to 161.8%. Well, how does that make sense? Why does that make sense? Well, the 1618 is very accurate in crypto, but what I'll say is that I still do expect Bitcoin, very good chance this year to go to 100,000. I do expect, if you've been watching me on Twitter, I do expect Bitcoin to have that fifth wave. And so what happens is Bitcoin's going to go higher than it was before. So last time it went to about $69,000. So what happens is not only are these markets and these ecosystems growing and there's more holders in the market, there's also a lot of people that bought in these high ranges that hold their coins as well. And so when you get back up to those, not necessarily all of them dump. People are getting bullish. There's euphoria in the market. That's when the FOMO comes in. But not only that, part of the market cycle is Bitcoin. For Bitcoin to do a fifth wave, for it to go well over 69,000, if Bitcoin goes to 100,000, it goes over 100,000. When that money comes out of Bitcoin and that money comes into the altcoins, there's that much more money in the market, that much more profits than 69,000 because you're over 100,000, you're at 100,000, you're at the end of a long cycle. So there's even more liquidity, more money in the market for one last push, one last boom, and that money comes into the altcoins. So my point here is that basically, even if you've watched some of my really old videos on CKB or HBAR or any of the coins, Cardano, any of those coins, all those targets are still alive and well because it's based off the 1618. So my point is right now, like CKB, for example, is a good altcoin to use as an example. We're a little higher than these lows from back in December 2022. We're just a little bit higher. I'm hoping this is a wave 1, 2, and then we're going to have an impulse 3. We'll see what happens. But what I have to say is, even if CKB were to roll over a little more here, even if, still, the point is even if it went lower, how these Fibonacci's work and these retracements is the farther you pull them back, the lower they go, and there's more accumulation, and there's no sellers for a long time, and Bitcoin tops, and you have the money flow into alts. The farther you pull back, it's like a slingshot. So the farther you pull back a slingshot, the farther something goes, okay? So I've been definitely on some of the timelines, thinking it was going to happen sooner rather than later. But I do believe Bitcoin still has a wave 5, and it wasn't a little wave 4 or 5. But my point is even if it stretched even lower, you're still just setting the fibs, and you're still talking about going up to 15 cents, 20 cents. You're still talking about coming up to at least the 1414, 11 cents. You're talking about the 1618, 20 cents. Definitely still possible. Now, let me remind you, since there hasn't been a pump in a very long time, let me remind you, and this is true for most altcoins that I've covered in the past. So we're just talking about CKB right now, but this concept applies to pretty much all the coins out there right now, almost all the altcoins we've covered. Now, take a look at this, okay? Look at the price where we're at right now. It's exactly where we were in November 2020, okay? You take a look here at that price point, and you see how long did it take to go up here. And I'm going to show two really important things. How long did that take? 147 days. So a little over 4 months. Okay? 1,400%, a little over 4 months. Okay? What I'm saying is this same run could be on the horizon here soon. And if Bitcoin was doing a wave 5 towards 100,000, then it would definitely be there. And you were down here. Everything was bearish. You came up a little, came back, probably still bearish in here. And loss of interest. Didn't think it was going to run. Didn't think it was going to go. We're at that same price point, okay? Not only that, still a possibility of this giant inverse head and shoulders. We'll see what happens with that. This stuff, because you're zoomed out to 1 week, it takes way longer to play out than you would think. So it's really far in the future. But all my price targets of 12 cents, 11 cents, 15 cents, 20 cents for CKB and Cardano pushing up to $7, XRP, all these targets from my old videos, and Curve moving up from 73 cents up to like $10, $20. All those targets are alive and well because they're based off the Fibonacci. It's just taken longer to get going than I thought. Let me show you something else really cool with CKB here while we're here on the 1 week. It's great when we see the weekly stochastic momentum RSI, stochastic RSI reverse, because like, look back here when I talked about this, that was that first pump. And I talked about this and I circled it back then. This was December 2022. December 2022 here. And during that whole rise here, price was going up. Hopefully in this next one, we should see a more impulsive move than this one. This was impulsive, but we'd want to see a more impulsive. But again, hasn't reset. This momentum hasn't been reset for about 6-7 months, where we're starting to scoop back up. So we'll see what happens with that. But what's cooler than that is that this run I just showed you that took took a little over 4 months, 4.5 months. That run right there, where did that take us? On the RSI, the RSI went into this green zone, okay? And that was the top of the cycle, okay? That was the top. And that's what we're waiting to see again. And that is what we're going to see. So if you've been following me on Twitter, you've been accumulating altcoins, you've been watching the markets, you've been watching my posts, you're going to be rewarded in the long run. It's just taken a lot longer than we thought. But what we're going to be looking for in the future is once this starts to go green, when it's getting real green, that's when you're going to be laddering out. You're going to be, basically when you break out of this band, which is at 70, once you break out of this band, you're on alert, okay? That's alert status where, okay, we're getting into that range where I don't care what the narrative is. I don't care if the government is buying CKB. They're not going to. CKB is a small altcoin. It's really not that important. But I don't care what the narratives are. The narratives will get you wrecked. My point is, when you go above 70, you come up here and we see this green later, that's going to be when to get out. It's not just going to be this indication. I'm going to post about every indication under the sun. I'm going to release way more videos at that point in time. There's going to be a lot more to say when that happens. But lately I've been busy with real estate and there hasn't been that much to say, but overall, this is what we're looking at. And if we do go to Bitcoin real quick, let me reset the chart. I also talked about, I had this circled from back when, that Bitcoin was going to correct. Circled the double top on the weekly stochastic RSI there. But this target's still there, okay? We're not following the 60 degrees super tight right now. But I'm hoping here pretty soon we're going to get going. We bounced right off my EMA ribbon I always use. Giant green candle right off of it. We have doubled in price from 15,000 to 30,000. We're just waiting for this accumulation phase to end and to get pumping. The 60 degrees might not follow out exactly. Maybe it's closer to 50 degrees. We'll see. But I do expect there to be a wave 5. And again, this is all predicated on the fact, it's predicated on many things, but it's very predicated on the fact that this here is not 4 or 5 to me. Big 1, big correction 2, long 3, and then you have this tiny little 4. This tiny little 4 compared to this 3 didn't make sense. That's why we stretched this 4 out. To me, this little 4 and this 5, this is Capo's thesis, didn't happen. 4 didn't break 1. 4 was long and drawn out. It is what it is. Way longer and drawn out than I thought. I thought I'd find support in here. Didn't. I think about right in here was the FTX, 3 Arrows Capital, Voyager, people getting liquidated, FUD like crazy, scams, all that, and definitely dump the market even more. But at the end of the day, guys, still bullish. It's been taking longer to play out than I thought. But again, my point of this video is all my old YouTube videos, I do not care if you go back a year and a half and say, this guy was an idiot, this guy was wrong, blah, 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 blah. Doesn't matter. It's based off the Fibonacci. Those targets are still there. And where does the money come from? When Bitcoin tops out, smart money will sell. Smart money will take it. When it's euphoric, when the CBBI and the macro indicators, the NUPL, the MVRV score, all these different indicators are near 100. They're in the 90s. They're in the 80s. They're green. They're red. It depends on the indicator. They're all telling you top. The fear and greed index is going crazy. That one as well. When all that's going on and the RSIs are turning green, like I just showed you on CKB, the RSI is turning green. Where does the money come from to pump all these alts? You have to remember a majority of the altcoin pumps and a majority of the market movement happens in a small window. And the people that are rewarded are the people that were here and that stayed, that were here at the bottom of this giant wave 4 here, the people that were here at the bottom, that didn't give up, that stuck in it, that kept believing it, that had the conviction, that bought more, that DCA'd more, that stayed with it, those people are the ones that will be rewarded in that small window if they're there and if they have the balls to hit the sell button. Because what's going to happen is everyone and their goddamn cousin is going to be coming up with all these crazy narratives. It's going to be all over Google, all over mainstream media, all over the news. Bitcoin all-time highs. All these stories are going to be coming out. Adoption, this, that, whatever. I don't care. I think Bitcoin's going to come back down. Didn't mean to move that. I think Bitcoin is going to come back down wherever it goes to around 35,000. I'll pull fibs later. But instead of bottoming all the way down to 15,000, it'll end its 5. It'll do a bear and it'll come down to 35,000, 40,000 or so, which will seem very low. Could be a little lower, down to 30,000, which will seem very low compared to 100,000. If it was at 100,000, that would be a 70% loss, and we probably will see a 70-80% drawdown. So be careful of those narratives, because those are going to get you wrecked. But my point is, on this video, is none of my targets have changed. No altcoin targets have changed. You pull it back farther, you go lower, you're still pulling off the highs. And that smart money, when Bitcoin tops and that money comes out of Bitcoin into altcoins, that's where the money comes from. It causes more FOMO, more euphoria, more pumping, and it brings new liquidity and more money into the market. Now, why are altcoins not pumping lately? Because Bitcoin is stealing the liquidity. And all that really means is, in like a simple term, is when there's only so much money in the crypto markets to go around, there's only so much money out there in the markets at all, and Bitcoin's moving up like this, people start to move into Bitcoin, and there's just not enough new money coming into altcoins to pump them, to cause the FOMO, to cause the euphoria, to cause the narratives, to cause just the overall movement in the coin. And we've been in accumulation stages. So at this point in time, the liquidity there, the new money coming in, has been Bitcoin. There's not FOMO around altcoins. There's not new people coming in yet. Later, though, there'll be tens of thousands, if not millions, jumping in. We're still very early. Any large chunks of money by institutions, companies, big players, and as Bitcoin starts to go up and you hear these adoption stories, Bitcoin is small enough and we're early enough that Bitcoin can grow, run towards $100,000 without that much money injected into it, and then it just rotates into alts, and then you have those windows of time when the money's made and when you need to click sell and you need to have the balls to click sell. Okay, so that's going to be it for this video. I think I've talked enough. I think I got my point across. Follow me on Twitter if you haven't. I love all you guys. If you made it this far in the video, I love you even more. I love you guys for following the channel, for listening to my videos, for following me on Twitter. If you're following on both, even better. Thank you for watching, and that's going to be it. And yeah, as this thing gets going and there's more to release, I'm also doing live shows sometimes on Twitter Space, so I'll post about that. But as this thing gets going and there's more to say, and there's more bullishness when we come out of this accumulation phase, I'll be dropping 2-3 videos a day if I need to on all the coins. I don't care, but that's where we're going to go. So just give it a little bit of time and stay strong in there. And that's going to be it for this video. We'll see you in the next one. See ya.